You're watching The Wave. I'm Fan Kanchi. US President Donald Trump will unveil a list about countries facing increased tariff from his administration. Will Thailand be on the chart? And how will the economy navigate through trade wars? Joining me now is Dr. Kirida Bhaopichitr, Director of Economic Intelligence Service of Thailand Development Research Institute. Ajahn, hello, how are you? Long time no see.
Hello, สวัสดีค่ะ I'm fine, thank
Yeah.
you.
So, Ajika, great. So right now, of course, I think on the economic landscape, everyone is expecting about the trade tariffs. So what is the impact to Thailand if U.S. administration really impose 10 to 15% of tariff on Thailand's product?
Well, first of all, I think we will probably be tariffed as of April 2nd when the U.S. Trade Representative Office releases its report because we're on the top 15 list of countries that have a surplus with the U.S. But what we don't know is how much the tariffs will be for Thailand, and also which products will be tariffed. But I see the impacts spanning at least three areas. Of course, first of all, our exports to the U.S. might be affected because our products will be tariffed. But again, this depends on the relative tariffs between what is taxed on Thailand vis-a-vis our competitors. Because if our competitors are taxed at a higher tariff rate than Thailand, then they might actually be an opportunity for Thai products to penetrate the U.S. market in those products. But of course, overall, I think raising tariffs across different countries around the world and having other countries also reciprocate is not a good news for the world trade. So other than the impact on just Thai exports to the US, which we will have to explore the relative tariffs between us and our competitors that I mentioned, I think world trade in general will also slow down, and that will impact Thai exports to other markets, right, other than the US, because our major markets are the EU, Japan, and even China. So I see the impacts on our exports, being both to the U.S. and to other countries in the world as well. The other impact that I see is, of course, on imports, because at the end of the day, if we negotiate with the U.S. to reduce our trade surplus, we might need to lower tariffs or open our markets to more U.S. imports as well. So there might be more U.S. imports coming into Thailand on products that that we have been trying to avoid their imports, such as agricultural products or pork. That is something that we will have to also consider. Other than the U.S., I think there will also be more imports coming from other countries in the world, because as they access the U.S. markets, in a more difficult manner, they will probably need to find new markets, right? So it will be like products from China that will be coming more to Thailand, or even steel, for example, from South Korea, if they need to find new markets other than the US, might also come to Thailand because they can sell it at a cheaper price than what we can produce here in our country. So I see the impacts both on import and export, and also I think the last thing I want to mention is on investments, right? Because we're seeing a lot of relocations coming into Thailand, into ASEAN as well. So that's actually a tailwind. That's good news. But on the other hand, because of these uncertainties that are arising because of Trump's policies, there might be a delay in these relocations or in these investments, especially for those who are planning to produce in Thailand and export to the US. So there are many impacts as I see.
Right. I think, of course, use the economics word, no matter it's tailwind or exposed about this risk or some changes here. What does that mean for Thailand's economy? Because some, like according to KKP Research Center or CMB Thai Research Center, they say that the GDP won't reach 3%, maybe only 2.3 to 2.5% this year. What does that mean for the economy? Do we see any silver lining part here?
Well, I think the impact will, of course, be more on the downside risk than the upside risk. And I also now share the view that our export growth this year will definitely be slower than last year. I think last year we recorded a 5% growth in our exports. Maybe this year it could be only around 2%, or even less than that. So our exports will be affected, but also, as I mentioned, there might even be more imports coming in. So that would also lower our GDP growth. But the silver lining that I see see is still on the investment side, because there are so many investments that are right relocating, to different parts of the world, including to Thailand as well, because of these policies that that many countries are putting against each other on trade. So there is a massive global realignment of supply chains at the moment, and Thailand is receiving in a lot of those investments. If you look at the Board of Investments approvals over the past 2 years, you can see that they are 10-year high, right? So there are many industries and many countries, from both, camps, both the China camp and the non-China camp, that are coming to Thailand to invest in new industries, particularly electronics, or electrical and hybrid vehicles, or even biotechnology products. So I think that's the silver lining, but the impact will be felt probably 2 to 3 years from now, because it takes a
Wow.
while for factories to be right to be built, and production to start, and exports to to begin. So that is a silver lining that I see. I know, for the big silver lining that I see at the moment. Well, I think in this such a short amount of time, there is, there's not much that one can do. Of course, the Thai government is trying to, negotiate with the U.S. to see, where we can accommodate the U.S. so that the tariffs or the measures on Thailand would be less. But I think that that would help, but probably not much. But I think what we should probably do at the moment, is to focus on other markets, other than the U.S. as well. So we should be more proactive in our export markets, and also expanding to new markets as well. For example, the Middle East, or in other parts of the world. So I think that's something that we would need to speed up, and our free trade agreements, for example, will need to speed up, because in the future, I think the U.S. market will be less reliable for Thailand, and for many other countries in the world as well. So we have to find new trading partners. So that's not only the work of the government, but I think the government has a big role to play in supporting the private sector to access new markets, or even the existing markets as well.
Okay, Ajahn, could you please explain again about what can the government do at this moment? Because actually, 2nd April is very near.
I think in the short run, there is nothing much that we can do now to April 2nd. But I understand that the
Yeah.
Thai government has also been trying to negotiate with the U.S. government on measures that Thailand can take to accommodate the U.S. so that our trade surplus could be reduced, or if we can do anything to reduce the U.S. measures on Thailand as well. But I think in the next step that we also need to do is, I think we need to find new trade partners, because I think in the future we can rely less and less on the U.S. market. So having more free trade agreements, or trying to find new markets for Thai exports. Including increased Thai exports to existing markets will be important. And that's something that the private sector is already trying to do, but the government will have a role to play in trying to spearhead or promote, right, the free trade agreements, or even giving information or assistance to the private sector in accessing new markets as well. So I think that's the way that we should go in the future.
And what about all those opportunities right now we can see on the table at this moment? Because, of course, I think right now we're still waiting for Donald Trump to give us the more clear messages there. And, of course, he talked about flexibility. So I think I want to know about just the opportunities that Thailand can get at this moment.
Well, I think what the opportunities that we can get now is mainly from the relocations of the factories and of the businesses that are trying to realign their supply chains. So I think that's the biggest opportunity that we see at the moment, and we should let this opportunity go, because these kind of global supply chain realignments don't come easily. I think the last time was in the 80s, right, when the Plaza Accord was signed between Japan and the US. So we will probably need to step our efforts in trying to attract investments into Thailand, because investments will then lead to production and exports in the future, and especially investments that are in these new and upcoming sectors, which we already see in the Board of Investment approvals, right, which are electronics, electrical vehicles, or hybrid vehicles, as I mentioned, and also biotechnology products that are applied to Thai agriculture to produce like bioplastics, or alternative proteins, or even biofuels and cosmetics. So these are things that I think we should definitely promote more here in Thailand, and that's the biggest opportunity that I see going forward.
Last question, very quickly. Just want to get your insight, Ajahn. According to your experience and analysis, do you see any economic downturn after trade tariff imposed, if on Thailand, and maybe recession? Is it possible?
For Thailand, I
Yeah.
don't see a recession here in Thailand. But I'm not sure about the recession in the U.S., but not in Thailand. The reason is because, as I mentioned, right, we can still export to other countries. So there's still export growth. Even this year, we're expecting export growth to be like 1 to 2%, right? And investment growth will be larger as well. So we don't expect to see a recession or a contraction in the economy. And if you look at the IMF forecast for global economic growth, it's still growing, right? It's still growing. So
Yeah.
we can also capitalize on that growth as well as an exporting country.
Right. Thank you for your time today, Dr. Kirida Bhaopichitr, Director of Economic Intelligence Service of Thailand Development Research Institute here. Thank you so much, Ajahn.
You're very welcome.